Hey, we're live. Mike Crawford, Young Jurks, back live tonight. We had a kitten select board meeting last night that we broadcast. Kind of an off night for me off the camera, which was nice. But I'm back again. We got a bunch of shows upcoming. Tomorrow night's going to be a huge night. We've got an all-star panel. So many names. I'm going to have to write them down so I can remember them all. But LTL Media will be here. Boozy Beauty will be here. Deanna Corby. It's going to be a fundraiser for Karen Reed and talk about the national standout for Karen Reed. So check that out tomorrow night, 6 p.m. Be here. Be here for that. We also have an attorney tonight. Going to be, I think, a chill, relaxed show, maybe. He's a new attorney. He's been in practice, I think, around 4 years. He's practices in California, LA, Los Angeles, which I love. He's from Maine, from the state of Maine, which I also like. And he's been talking about the Karen Reed case, and I know he's been involved in some other cases too. People talk about. He's got a Twitter account. That's how we noticed him. It's the title tonight: Happy Angry ESQ Esquire. Happily Angry ESQ. Follow it on Twitter. That's how we noticed him, and basically all of our supporters were saying, "Hey, you got to get this guy. Got to get him on the show." You've seen his tweets. So we tried to do it, I don't know, 2 or 3 times now, and it just didn't work out. The first night, it was my issues. I had technical issues. I couldn't get the microphone. It's been an ongoing issue with this new computer. And then I got that sorted out mostly. And then he had an incident where he couldn't be here. So we had to cancel again, and then we rescheduled it onto another date. I think this is the third time. Third time gonna work tonight. So let's bring him up. Attorney Jim Robichaud. I think I said that right.
Yeah, you said it right. Yeah, this is a number four, lucky number 4.
Number 4. We finally did it. We're finally doing it.
Yeah, it's a good time to do it too. We have I think the first time it was kind of it was before some of the motions eliminated, so we wouldn't have had the right everything right for discussion like we do today.
There's much to talk about, right?
Yeah, I think everyone knows what we're probably going to talk about first.
Well, I mean, we should talk about the latest that's just like lighting up YouTube and Twitter and everywhere else. It's about this juror, this alternate juror. It's funny because I can see this arc in this whole retrial where the jurors, jury tampering, allegations of it, juror interviews, Ronnie, the jurors from trial 1 were really kind of impacting trial 2, and now we have a alternate juror who is now. It's been filed by the Karen Reed defense team that Karen Reed wants this alternate juror who's also an attorney to represent her, which is we're all just like, I mean, how many more things can we see that we've never seen before? What did you think about this when this broke? I think today or yesterday. When did this break? Just recently.
Yeah. I think my reaction was mostly: is there a rule about this? Has this happened before? Where do I look to find out more about this? I saw Andrea Burkhart's reaction, which was essentially the same, which was, I guess it's okay because there's just no law or rule about this, so I guess it can just go on ahead. But yeah, that was my reaction. I haven't seen this before. This is odd, interesting. It fits though. I guess it's kind of thematic for the trial.
Is there any because this attorney apparently is in Massachusetts, so she doesn't have to get approved as an out-of-state attorney like Better and some of the other attorneys.
Yep.
Is there any grounds for the judge not to allow her to be an attorney in this retrial?
Not that I can think of. No, because I mean, she wouldn't have heard any information that's not, you know. No, I can't think of anything. I've tried to think, but I just can't think of any basis for denial. Um, I try to think of any kind of information that she could have gotten that would be improper or anything like that, but anything that goes to the jury is going to be known by both sides anyway. No. I think she's in the clear.
Yeah, I would think so too. It's
Yeah.
going to be
Have you?
interesting to see how the judge handles this.
I want to ask you. I know some people have been saying that eventually you have so many lawyers that it starts to look bad. There's the how many lawyers does an innocent person need?
Say that again. You broke
Perspective.
up a little bit.
Oh, sorry. Some people have kind of that. How many lawyers does an innocent person need?
Oh yeah.
Perspective. Do you think there's anything to that?
I think innocent people need more lawyers than someone who's guilty.
Yeah, that's what I
You know,
think.
and I think there's a reason why these attorneys of this caliber are all stepping up to do this case pro bono, like for free. They're not getting paid. They're investing, like Betterhouse said. Some of them are lucky to have this much resource to be able to give up the time and energy pro bono to represent someone like Karen, but they don't just do that for anybody. This is a special case, and innocent people. I think it means much more to attorneys when they're actually representing an innocent person. It's almost like a curse because if you lose, you know, it's so. I mean, would you agree? You're an attorney. You're covering legal. What do you think about it?
Yeah, I agree. Actually, I can relate to that. I don't know how much we've talked about this. I haven't talked about it as much since I started tweeting about the Karen Reed stuff, but that is kind of the only thing I'm working on right now is what I believe to be a wrongful incarceration in Atlanta. I'm flying up tomorrow to work on that.
What is that one about?
That's in the YSL trial. It's a whole thing.
You're
I
known
can't.
for that because that's what I keep hearing about the YSL. So why don't you tell us? Give us. You don't have to get it all into it, but give us kind of an idea for people that like me that have no
Yeah.
clue about YSL and what's going on there.
Yeah. So I don't even know where to start. It was so YSL. There's a record label YSL, and there are people who are associated with the YSL. And in Fulton County, Georgia, one of the counties in Atlanta, the prosecutor charged 28 people on one indictment as co-conspirators in a criminal conspiracy, a RICO conspiracy, alleging that not only were they, the music label, but there's also a street gang, also called YSL. And to be fair, there does seem to be some truth to that. There are people associated with YSL who have done crimes, but it was not well connected. It was not well tied together by the prosecution, and they kind of painted with a broad brush and seemed to kind of charge several disparate groups of people, some of whom were musicians, some of whom were not. And it was the longest trial in the history of Georgia. It was 11 months of jury selection. It was a year of 167 days of trial. And it was just a mess in every way. That the evidence that was put on was a mess. There were, I think, 50 something mistrial motions. There were motions to dismiss. It was just a mess, and there's disagreements with that. I'm not going to say her name though, but yeah. So my client he pleaded guilty. We were talking about resources, and this is what reminded me of this. He just couldn't. I mean, he didn't get bond, so he'd been in jail. He would have had to wait in jail for years just to get to a trial. He wouldn't have been able to afford his lawyer, so he would have had a court-appointed lawyer. His kids, he wouldn't be able to support his kids, and so that kind of pushed him to take the guilty plea. And one of the things the plea required him to do is testify, and the prosecutors wrote the statements to which he was supposed to testify. But at the trial, he wouldn't say those things because he had never said them, and they weren't his words. And he got his probation revoked for 5 years. And the crazy thing is that the case fell apart subsequent to him getting his probation revoked. So I think he has one of the longest sentences of any of the people who have been tried and either pleaded guilty or convicted. There's Young Thug's kind of the supposed head honcho. He's a musician. He lives in LA. He's not even in Atlanta. But he got probation, even though he was supposedly the ringleader. And my client got 5 years for not perjuring himself on the stand. And there's a lot more to it than that, but it's just a mess. We had funny things, sad things. It's worth the whole show at some point.
Definitely. And so were you involved in his defense throughout the whole thing, or did you just get involved after in the appeal process? How's that working out?
Yeah. So there's actually why I started tweeting was because I was just interested in his specific. I tend to get obsessed with stuff, so I kind of got obsessed with his case, and I started tweeting about it because I thought there were things that were wrong from the start, and eventually, even before this case started, dating back literally decades, actually. And I just kept tweeting about it and kept yelling on the internet, and people kind of followed me more and more. And eventually, I got I don't know who contacted. I think his family contacted me first, and then I got in touch with him, and we had to do some technical client engagement things before I could get started. But it was after he had been revoked. So the first time we spoke, he was in prison, and this was probably late November, early December. I don't remember exactly when he signed the engagement letter or anything like that. But no, then eventually I didn't really have time, and there were some issues with insurance, all that stuff, and I had to leave my job just to focus on this case. So this is my one thing for the time being.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Bless you.
What's that?
Say God bless you for doing that.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's hoping to have something soon. It's incredible how long everything takes, even under the best of circumstances. I thought once I started on the case, it was like, oh, this should take a week. We'll be in and out. Everyone will see what I see. We'll be good to go. And then waiting's the hardest part. And I'm not even the one in prison, so for me to say that,
right.
But it's quite a story. I look forward to telling it.
Excellent. And so now you've been posting a lot on Twitter about different cases. One of them's been the Karen Reed case that we've been covering quite a bit.
Yeah.
What did you think about this? Like, why did you get interested in that case, and specifically, what kind of drew you to it? What do you think about it?
Yeah, I mean, I watched the juicy bits of the first trial, not live, but maybe a couple months after, and just for entertainment. I wasn't watching it really seriously. I don't do criminal law. I mean, I guess I do now, but at the time I didn't. I just, we saw the YouTube videos with, you won't believe what this idiot said about car reconstructions, and it was hard not to follow along at the time. So it was not some deeply rooted sense of justice that had me following along at the start. But yeah, I watched it, and then once I was done, that was the end of it for a while. And more recently, I watched Alessi's. This was the first thing I had watched since the original. I'd watched the original trial. Was Alessi's. I don't remember what it was. It was some argument. It was when he did that argument for 4 or 5 hours. He was supposed to do half a day, and he went on the entire time. And I was just impressed, and I made a comment that he had done well. He was well organized. He was. I think I said he was appearing classy while being a dick or something like that, which is what he does. He's very talented at that. And I just got it. At first, it was mostly just the people I normally talk to on Twitter, but then somebody named Latima, and Julie, I think. No, not Julie. The redheaded one. They started trying to attack me in my comments, and I said things back to them that I don't want to repeat. And
Call her good. We call one of them good time Julie.
that I didn't
Julie
have a good time. I
She's
shouldn't.
a trip. She's a trip. Yeah. So they all
Yeah,
started coming after you. Welcome to the trolls. I mean,
yeah.
what do you think about this crew of people? We found just audio of one of them who's got a TikTok going thing. Who basically came up and he said like their whole show was like a panel of them basically saying that everyone on Free Karen Reed is paid. We're all paid. We're like fake opposition. We're astroturfing. And the dude get on the show, one of them, and said, I'm the reason I know all the Karen Reed people are paid is because this one time this lobbying group came to me and I was supporting what they were doing already, but they wanted to pay me, but I couldn't tell anyone they paid me to put out the content. So I did it, so therefore they're doing it.
Oh,
Like,
is that you just posted that recently,
yeah,
right? Yeah, I
yeah.
saw that. I saw that.
What did you
That
think
was
about that? That was just the classic projection. I mean, what do you think about them? Are they getting paid? Are they organized? Like what are they just nutcases? Do they just hate Aiden Carney? What do you think about that crew of people
I
that
don't
came
I
after
don't
you?
I don't think they're getting paid. I think they're getting paid. They would pick better people. Um,
True, true.
I
They
don't.
would
I
have
mean,
better people.
I'm not
Would
getting
have,
paid. I know
yeah,
that.
we know.
I'm painfully aware. Yeah, no, I just think it's. I mean, is it possible that somebody's getting paid somewhere? I guess, but I don't think either side's really. It doesn't seem like Karen has the money to fund some kind
It's
of
funny.
astroturf. You know.
Yeah, and Karen, like, it's funny because they accuse us of getting secretly paid by Karen Reed, and we're the ones fundraising for Karen Reed. Like we raise money for Karen Reed. It's actually the opposite. We're giving money to Karen Reed. We're giving
Yeah.
time to her, money to her, raising awareness for her. We don't take from her. That's like never been like I think not just for me, but like this greater community. Everyone gives what they can. Some people give their business, like Star Drive-In. She has events for Karen. Some people give their time and their fundraising. It's just there's a lot that's been going on, and pretty funny that they accuse us of it when the only one that ever admitted to doing that was the one dude on their side this week, which is hilarious. It's so funny.
Boundless or something.
What is
I've
it?
never. I think it was Boundless or something. His name
Yeah,
was.
Boundless Millennial. Boundless Millennial.
I
That's
want
his
to see
name.
what his paid content looks like.
Oh, it's a lot of funny. Like
Yeah. Yeah. It
he
is.
does both sides. He does like acting. He pretends he's a crazy conspiracy theorist for Karen Reed, and then he's the logical guy over here. You know, like
Oh yeah. I know what you mean.
the TikTok stuff. Yeah,
That's highbrow content right there.
yeah. And he's not very good when he's on the live shows because he's a lightweight. It's pretty funny. It was so funny when he said it. It was like, oh my god, you didn't just say that, did you? Did you just say that? Did you, Matt?
I wonder.
It's
I mean, I haven't seen more like pretty obvious astroturfing in bigger lawsuits. In some of the lawsuits when there's real money. I mean, you wouldn't do it in a criminal case because there's just it doesn't make as much
no.
sense. But
I mean,
some
you
of these
have to
lawsuits,
have unless you have mega bucks, unless you're like,
yeah.
who I don't know, Bloomberg or who's like really rich, like, you know, then maybe, because you're trying to protect your reputation and your business, but Karen Reed doesn't have that kind of money.
No.
No. And
And
it's funny too, because like she doesn't need to. Like we're raising the audience. It's funny because the last couple of days they came after me for the super chats. They realized where the money's actually coming from. A creator like me, it's these super chats, which I always like to get back to. We have a few super chats already. Let's bring them up. What's this one say? This is from Double Trouble, I guess. 247 says, "Can they ask Easter if FBI pays for accident reconstruction?" You know who Michael Easter is, right? I'm sure. I'm sure, Jim.
he's the investigation expert, I believe. Is that right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. They you can't. I mean, you can ask. I wouldn't do it myself, but no. If you were trying to get away, trying to get around a ruling like that, it would not be looked favorably upon by the judge. You can, yeah, you just can't. I mean, I guess it might be within his personal knowledge, but no, that would just be pretty openly being contempt of court.
Happy Annie asks, she also part of Yanetti's firm, which gives her more standing. Wow. So I guess they must have made this alternate juror. I'm not sure. Is that true? Is she part of Yanetti's firm now?
I saw something where
Oh,
she was using his address, but I don't
okay.
know if that's the same thing.
Maybe she joined him. Very possible. It's funny though, isn't it strange how like the jury from trial one, ever
Yes.
since this trial ended, the second trial's been a lot about the jury from trial one. Like it's been the federal cases throwing the counts out. It's
Yep.
been jury tampering. It's been interviews with jurors coming out on NBC Boston and with Aiden Carney, Turtle Boy. It's been about the juries from trial one, and now we have this attorney that's was an alternate juror. It's very interesting how this jury from
Yeah.
trial one is so much a part of trial two now.
So I just realized I had you on the left side of my screen, and I realized that I could just move the window to the middle of the screen. I'm a very bright guy. Yeah, it's actually that's one thing that was interesting about the in the wake of the first YSL trial is some of the jurors were doing interviews just literally the same day of the verdict, and it's really interesting just to get those immediate insights and to see. One thing is that was interesting was there was so much that was not within the presence of the jury, so you don't know how their perspective is different, or their perspective is different from yours.
From the public. Yeah.
How they're how their different access to information, differential access to information will shape their opinion. And in that case, there was minimal difference. But I can imagine in this case where the flow of information is, in theory, so restricted to the jury that you might get a completely different opinion of what happened, which can be infuriating if it doesn't go your way and you suspect that withholding information from the jury, whether right or wrong, that could definitely be frustrating. But yeah, like you said, it's jurors becoming lawyers, the interviews, the counts 1 and 3 in the federal case. There's this new stuff with A and B that I haven't even caught up on yet.
There's a lot. There's a
juror
lot to
dominant.
this.
Yeah.
Yeah, juror dominant from the first trial. It's weird because they got it wrong. Like they definitely got this whole thing wrong the first trial. And I'm not saying the jury did so much. Well, I think the foreman.
Yeah. So he
and,
was.
and the judge got it wrong. That's what I think. My opinion, anyways. Actually, no. Let me go to that back to this one first. Is she as a follow up? Mama She 13 says, "Is she just now part of Yanetti's firm, or could she have been on the jury if she were with his firm?" No, she couldn't have been if she was with his firm. Then, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm assuming that's a new development. That's got to be new, right, Jim?
Uh, yeah. I mean, you're definitely right. Even if there weren't a rule against it,
Yeah,
she wouldn't have. That'd be hilarious if that slipped by somehow. But
yeah. They
um,
let her slip through. That would be hilarious. No. Wait, so I answered that one. There's another one. I keep putting the same one up. Sorry. There's Bev's bias beratements. Love that one. That five. I think it's €5. Thank you so much. Bev's bias beratements. I love the picture. A civil law attorney coming on may cut costs for Karen Reed for her case with Paul O'Keefe in the future. She will have inside knowledge. Love you, Mike. And she's also got inside knowledge, kind of just from not even inside, like public knowledge, I guess. Being part of the jury, she saw everything that happened in the trial. Like she doesn't have to go watch the trial again. She was there for it, so she has that too.
yeah. Yeah. I don't know what kind of law she practiced. I mean, obviously, civil is a pretty broad um, set of things from dog bites to slip and falls. There's so much within the realm of civil that it could be. It's definitely possible. I don't know what she does specifically.
Right.
I could
There
look it
is.
up
I
real
mean,
quick.
there's also like workman comp. That's like labor law. There's so much within civil.
Oh god, I hate that stuff.
You hate it? You hate civil law?
No, the workers' comp stuff. It's so
Oh, the workman comp.
specialized.
Why do you hate that stuff? Say it again.
It's just really specialized, and
Yeah.
it's I don't know. I've never really done much of it other than reading the case law. It's just dry. Maybe if you have a personal connection to the cases, it's more interesting. But
Oh,
yeah, it's you can't really take other areas of law and apply it to workers' comp. It's just kind of its own sort of island of um of law, and I don't like it. I don't. It's personal preference, I guess, but not my thing. Then again, I like
you
tax and bankruptcy, so
oh, you like tax and bankruptcy? Are you moving to criminal too? It seems like a little bit.
I don't know what I'm doing in my life.
You're young. You can decide. I mean, you're not that young, but
Yeah,
you're under 40, right?
yep, yep.
So you
For
can
the time
still,
being,
yeah. And so
yeah,
you're an attorney. You've been an attorney for a few years, but not too many.
yep,
You're still trying to figure out what you want to do.
yeah. I mean, Jackson's right down the street. Maybe I'll go
Join him.
join up there. Yeah, yeah. Why not? Yeah. No, I don't know. I've been doing more criminal stuff. I've been doing. It's funny. I've been finding when doing the research for this one case that I'm working on, I kind of stumbled across a couple of others that have similar issues, just because I don't know if that's the way research works. You're looking for similar stuff and you find similar stuff. So there are a handful of other cases that are similar that I would like to take up, but I'd have to. Okay, so one of the issues is California doesn't have reciprocity for bar admissions, so I need to at some point go to one of the other 48 states that does. I can't remember what the 50th. I think Louisiana doesn't have it, reciprocity. So I'll need to go to one of the other states and get admitted there, and then I can start practicing more broadly. But once that's done, there are more criminal cases I'd like to take on. Um, I don't really have anything in California, which I need to work on, but lots of stuff in Georgia that's definitely caught my attention. But I like
Now,
everything. I like
now
learning new stuff.
with Georgia, are you licensed there? How does that work?
No, I'm pro hoc. Like
You're pro hoc, Vici,
yep,
whatever that is.
yep. Yeah, those are usually pretty easy to get.
Yep.
There are exceptions, but for the most part, it's rubber stamp. Unless you've done something egregious and it's on your record, but
Yeah.
99 times out of 100, it's straightforward.
Unless it's like Bev Canoni not letting Betterow in. Let me ask
Yeah,
you about this. Betterow gets attacked by these trolls, questioning his kind of resume and what he does. What do you think about Betterow? Because I think you've watched some of the shows, haven't you? You know who
yeah,
he
yeah.
is?
I mean, I know who he is. I don't know where I'd heard of him before this. I'd heard of him somewhere. I don't know him well, but I mean, he seems perfectly competent. I know he has a background as a prosecutor. He's done defense work. Those
Yep.
prosecutor jobs are super competitive, even if, yeah, at any level, pretty much anywhere. He seems to know what he's doing. I don't. I mean, the trolls think everybody's stupid, so let's just.
Oh,
I wouldn't
especially
put too
him.
much.
Like I looked at his record, like it looked into him. Like there's been some cases like he's got like a resume. Like there
Yeah.
was a murder case where FBI supervisory agent got charged with four murders basically. And the whole case was bunk. He hired Betterow and charges got,
Oh,
you know,
that's right. I saw somebody comparing Hank and Federer because they both had
yeah,
some kind of FBI
yeah,
defense tie-in. Different,
yeah.
not
FBI
comparable.
agent hired Betterow and Betterow won the case, the biggest case, like that. And even during the Karen Reed case, there was a case where this woman who was basically married to a gangster type guy, killer. The cops basically tried, and she was like, she was really abused by the husband. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so they try to pin his crimes on her after, because he was gone, he was dead. So he won that case too. That was during the Karen Reed trial. He won that defense. That was another big one. He's been in like even listeners to this show, viewers, they tell me they show me like all the old videos from like whatever those TV shows, those crime, because he's had many wins like this for other people
Yeah.
too that have been documented. So I think it's hilarious actually. What they also go after Alan Jackson a lot. The Karen Reed defense team. What is your you've gotten to see them do their thing. What do you think about the defense team individually, and what do you think about Brennan?
Brennan, I mean, okay, I'll start with the defense team. The funny thing about Jackson is he's like the most accomplished prosecutor in the room by a pretty massive, enormous, gigantic margin. So I don't see how you can say he's, some kind of scumbag defense attorney. Not that I really believe in that trope in general, but I mean, he's the best one of them in the room, and he's for that reason I think beyond most of that criticism. He's really good. I think they have different personalities and different strengths. Jackson's a little bit more fiery, and Alessi's more measured. Yannetti, I guess Yannetti's kind of in the middle. He can go either way. He's certainly more familiar with applicable procedure and local law and all that stuff. And I think he probably has certainly he's from the area, so he's going to have the closest connection to Karen and to the people in the area. Hank is, I think he's clearly capable. I think it's just a loser case, and he's trying to. I think he likes to win at all costs. Which, if you're a defense lawyer, I shouldn't say all costs, but if you hate losing and you can't stand losing, it's better that you're on that side than you are as a prosecutor, because part of your job as a prosecutor is to walk away once you realize something's gone wrong, or you have the wrong guy, or somebody's rights have been violated. But it seems like he has that same mentality of just win as a prosecutor. And maybe if he'd taken the case from the start, it would have gone. I'm sure it would have gone differently. But I think he's just trying to salvage something that's unsalvageable, and he's doing it by trying to get privileged communications and excluding evidence that's, to me, clearly would help a jury come to a rational, reasonable decision. And it doesn't seem like he's pursuing the truth
Right.
in his litigation. But clearly I wouldn't be surprised. I know he's a good defense lawyer, but it's a different. Carrie Morrissey in the Alec Baldwin case, she was a defense lawyer. Kind of a, I shouldn't. She's like well off the reservation at this point, but I think there's some similar traits there in needing to win. That was a meltdown for the ages.
Green meltdown. What's going on?
Carrie. Well, I don't know if you followed like Alec Baldwin. There was the Brady violation, and the case got dismissed. But after that, the prosecutor kept appealing the dismissal, which isn't really a thing. But she wrote like this 39 page. I think there's a motion for reconsideration, and there's a 10-page limit, and the judge rejected it. And then she filed a motion for reconsideration to the motion for reconsideration for being over the page limit. And she just kept filing one thing after another. And it was off the rails. It was something else. It was disconnected from reality. And if you ever have a few 10 or 12 hours to read through all of them, it's something else. I've never seen it.
I'm still working on my taxes and all these shows I'm doing.
If you get so many people paying you, it's probably hard to get through all those 1099s.
Yeah, that's the problem. You got to upload them all, or I got them. That's why I'm keeping my old computer, because I got everything set up where a lot of them go in automatically, but there's still issues. And then my stocks. I got like 4 different stock accounts too.
That's fine. That's fine. The super chats. Those are public though, right? You can just see those.
Yeah, the super chats just come up. Yeah.
So they think that's their plan, is to pay you via fucking super chat. That's the scheme that they think the
Oh no, no, no.
conspiratorial powers.
I think they just figured out that's where we actually give, there's money coming in. They got jealous. I don't know.
I
I don't
try
know.
to
I
coach.
just noticed that all of a sudden they're all mad about how much money I'm making now.
I'm mad too, man. That sucks.
You mad? You mad I'm making money?
Oh man, no, it's value. You're providing value, and people give you money. That's the way it's supposed to work.
I love it. The other night I was telling people to stop sending super chats. I couldn't handle it anymore. It's too many. I couldn't read them all. I gotta go, and they were still coming in.
Yeah, I know. I used to watch more Twitch back when I used to game more, and people do like the text to speech thing where you could pay money and there would be a text to speech reader while the person was trying to stream,
No,
and
I don't. Yeah,
it's super
I'm too.
annoying. Some people would just turn it off because despite the money, it just wasn't worth it. It was just overwhelming.
Yeah, too much.
Yeah,
I love the super chats, though. I do love them. I'm not,
yeah,
please
yeah.
send super chats, but that's what the trolls were saying, though. They said I was begging, but it was like, where did I beg? I didn't
No,
beg. I
you
just
did beg
thanked
though.
people.
You begged them to stop.
Yeah, I
So
actually did
technically,
at the end. At the end, that was a better show. That's not tonight. Tonight I'll beg and send me the super chats. Glamour Sue sent gifted 5 Young Jerks memberships. Thank
yeah,
you so much.
yeah. Better not
Here's
listen. Oh, sorry.
Jen also did. We got, yeah. It's
That's,
We got Mary Malarkey. She's a new member. I don't think she's a new member. I think she just
is that a
reviewed.
Pope hat? What is that hat?
You want to see that hat again? We want to see
Yeah,
Mary? Let's bring up Mary again. She's cute. Look at the hat. Is that a
that's
Pope
nice.
hat or is
That's a
that
Pope
a
hat. That's what I
Jester
wanted to
hat?
see.
Yeah, definitely stands out. That's the funniest thing is I love the names people use and the little pictures and sometimes it's we got one up here, right? There's the judge. There's Bev's. I like that one. Bev's bias beratements.
I'm gonna look that up. Who's that new lawyer's name? New lawyer.
Which lawyer? Oh,
Karen.
the new lawyer?
Yeah,
Oh, I
what's
forgot her
her
name.
name? Victoria
Her, la-
George. That's right.
her last name's George. Yeah. I got to ask you a question. A couple questions.
Yeah, go ahead.
Aiden, you mentioned I saw you post one of your early posts was about Aiden Carney, Turtle Boy. You said I can't
Yeah,
believe a guy named Turtle Boy is involved in this.
yeah. I'd
What do
heard.
you? Go ahead.
I was gonna say I'd heard of him. Um, well, I don't know how far back, but quite some time now. He's definitely on my radar. So I was playing a little bit dumb. Like I did know more or less who he was.
You didn't know who he was, like I did for a while. What did you think about him? Like, what do you think about like what's going on with him, especially with the trial, and they're charging him with all these witness intimidation charges?
Yeah, it's they okay. The witness intimidation thing. Nobody seems intimidated. So I don't know. I don't think that I thought the pizza window, whatever that was. I mean, look, you probably shouldn't have done that, and he acknowledges that. But um, I mean, I don't think there's any deeper. It was just a dumb thing, you know. I don't think I just don't really buy the witness intimidation stuff in general. I haven't looked through every one of the court filings or anything. I haven't followed his case as closely, but it just seems like a more of a conflict between sets of people. Not that one side is bullying the other and stealing their lunch money. Um, so I don't really read too much into that. It is interesting to see how the town is going to, I don't know, go on after all of this because clearly there's a fracture there. But that's a separate question.
Definitely. There's another election too happening right now, April 8th for select board. That's
Oh yeah,
very highly contentious. Let's put it that way.
yeah, I bet,
Yeah,
and it should be.
yeah, should be.
You
It's
you cover that, right? The select
oh,
board.
I'm covering that definitely.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, yeah. He's definitely he's colorful. I mean, he's unconventional, but clearly he gets information that other people don't. So I mean, I get a sense of humor. Um, I wouldn't want to be in the crosshairs. He's definitely good at what he does. But I don't. I'm not familiar enough to say definitively what I think, but I enjoy watching him.
Let me ask you this question about that case because he, basically they picked a special prosecutor
Yeah,
because Morrissey was conflicted.
yeah,
And basically, I feel like he was conflicted because Aiden's coverage was going after Morrissey.
yeah,
But the same state police that Aiden covered, Holly, Proctor, Buchanan, all these people,
yeah,
they're the same state police that showed up and did the investigation and have
yeah,
been investigating. And even they're the same cops that took the report for the latest charge that you just talked about, in front of the pizza
yeah.
shop. Like they're still involved. The most conflicted people that he made fun of, gave nicknames to, and exposed all their bullshit. Like, so is that,
Yeah,
that seems so corrupt that the
that
court
was
allow that. Shouldn't they just throw it out just based on that alone?
that's one of the things I was looking at recently was the Turtle Boy phone access issue. It was like the Rule 17. It was Brennan's Rule 17 to Cosgrove, which is, first of all, that's just bizarre. I don't. It's the same party, but the idea was that they're these separate, independent entities. And well, I mean, certainly Brennan isn't because Lolly's still on the team, but supposedly Cosgrove's this independent special, special district attorney. But like you said, I mean, Tully was the one who did the analysis of Turtle Boy's phones. He's the one who analyzed the extractions. So as far as I'm concerned, Brennan he had the information. He always did. Because Tully's part of his team. Tully is the one who looked at the extractions. So Tully had the extractions. So he had the extractions. He had all the information. And to me, if anything, that's a violation. I don't know if the defense had all of those files that came from the phone, but if those weren't turned over, that's to me that's where the issue was.
That's
I don't
interesting.
know whether they were or not, but certainly witness intimidation did come up in the first trial. So if let's say there's no text between Karen and Turtle Boy, that's exculpatory. So if the extraction wasn't provided, I could see that being an issue. But I don't know.
Response from Mary Malarkey tonight. He says, happily angry. My profile image is Maura Rose on Schitt's Creek, aka Catherine O'Hara, in honor of Auntie Deb and Nurse Kim. Are you familiar with Auntie Deb and Nurse Kim and Schitt's Creek?
2 out of 3. I crossed paths with Nurse Kim. I recognized the name, but I went on a Deb's show, and Schitt's Creek is pretty funny. I think I binged it like 5 years ago, or however long ago it was, but it's pretty funny.
No, Auntie Deb's show. What kind of questions did Auntie Deb ask about your sex life? Like,
No, nothing like that. Well, he did ask if I was dating.
you did ask about what? What was the raciest question? I guess.
Let me see. I'm trying to remember. He asked about dating, but
Okay.
what else did he ask?
He asked me some wild questions.
They were good questions.
Yeah, they were.
I must have blacked out or something because
yeah,
it was
you probably got shocked.
I had a good time.
Very nice.
Yeah, he's really great. We still talk sometimes.
You still talk sometimes to him?
Yeah, we're not talking every day, but
all right,
catching up.
I'm surprised I still talk to Auntie Deb after the show I did with him.
Yeah, no, it was.
He asked me if I was truly Irish. I did say I had big feet and shit,
It was
fun. Go ahead.
It's also like kind of one of the shorter ones I've done, so it feels very high pressure for 20 minutes, and then there's a break, and then you have another 20 minutes of the lightning round. Yeah.
Sometimes better. I sometimes like the shorter shows. I do both sometimes. Funny.
Yeah.
Mostly longer shows, but
Yeah. If you have the right content, if you're looking at a series of things and it's all interesting,
Yep.
I can do that. But if it's um, yeah, after like I did one that was like 3.5 hours, and I was just completely I was worn out after that one.
Definitely. Definitely. People don't, I think anytime you're on camera or on stage or even in front of a classroom,
Yeah,
seminar, you know, it's tiring.
it's funny. I remember doing my very first show. This was, I don't know, probably October, November. This wasn't about Karen Reed, but I was so nervous. And like the first thing I said was, I've never been on camera talking about the law before. And I'd had a Zoom court hearing like 3 hours before that. I was so much more nervous for the show about the law than the actual practice of law in front of a judge. It's just a totally different animal.
And it's like, anything else, the more familiar you become with it, the less you
Yeah.
have to worry about in a way. Like it's fear of the unknown. You haven't done enough. You just
Yeah. I remember trying to set up my live stream with a test stream, and then people started showing up, and I was trying to think of things to say. Like, I don't know what to. I don't have anything, but I'll come up with something. It was it was a bit of a disaster, but you learn.
that happens. Sometimes that happens to me too. That's why you have a chat. You check your chat, see what they're saying. If they
That
give you
was
anything.
I actually I typed a response to the chat instead of just saying it on the screen at one point. That was kind of embarrassing.
Yeah. I'm gonna put our moderators. I want to thank our moderators. We got Sarah, Shock and Horror. We got MJ, Stephanie, Jen O, and Scott McGinnis. I'm very thankful for our YouTube mods. And they just posted your links up at the YouTube. So I'm trying to get in that YouTube so I can pin it for them.
Oh god.
Um, we can pin up we got a good amount of people. So yeah, you got an X account and a YouTube account.
Yep.
And then Sarah's got them got them. She just posted them in the YouTube chat. Did I say that right? Yeah. And I just pinned it. So if people want to follow Jim, especially on X and his YouTube, it's right there. Definitely do so tonight. I want to thank you for coming on.
Yeah.
Tell us about yourself more. I want to know more about growing up in Maine, how you
Yep.
became a lawyer, about your life. Like, cause you're a little bit older. You're
Yeah.
not that old, but you're still, you became a lawyer not at like age 24, like a lot of younger people that go to law school or what 25, I guess. I don't know. How long does it take to become a lawyer for most lawyers? What's
It's
the
a
like if you're gonna do it as soon as you get out of college, how quickly do people become
it's
lawyers?
3 years. 3 years of
Yeah.
law school. The third year is a waste. So the first year is the tough one, and then you just kind of coast for 2 years. But I guess 24, 25 would be the typical straight through A through JD approach, which is pretty common. I'd say at least half, probably more of lawyers take that path. Hey, they're from Los Angeles too. Sorry, I was just reading the comment. But yeah, 24, 25 is pretty typical. And then it's also not common to do a second career. Um, you get a lot of like accountants and people who just got bored with their thing. Doug Weinstein, who's from the YSL trial, he was an engineer before he became a patent lawyer and then a criminal lawyer. So I think it's pretty common as a second career. But
Well, yeah.
I mean, I went from bartending to lawyer, so I guess that's also a second career for me. But yeah, I'll start from the beginning. I grew up in Maine. I grew up in South Portland, and pretty typical. Dad was a mailman. Mom was sort of part time. So I'm first college grad in my family, and what else? I mean, typical me. I played little league, played sports all year long, and loved being outside. And yeah, I never really left until college. I went to a school in DC for a year, and then I went to Susquehanna University in Pennsylvania, which was okay. I didn't love it, but after that, I moved back to DC and just took a bartending job, and well, took a few different bartending jobs. Lived a very productive lifestyle. No, I was partying a little bit too much and having fun. I don't regret it, but kind of a misspent 20s. And then eventually was tired of bartending. It was like a Monday night. And I got to do something else. And I was dating somebody at the time, and she had gotten into a PhD program at USC out here in Los Angeles. And I figured, well, I could go with her. And so I applied to law school and got in. And yeah, we're not together anymore, but I graduated from law school and stuck around out here. My first job, I did a lot of work in connection with, it wasn't for the SEC, but it was kind of parallel to the SEC. We do basically litigation against the people who would run Ponzi schemes or profit from Ponzi schemes, and we'd get the stuff back. You know, you'd steal money and then buy stuff with it. And if it was a larger Ponzi scheme, sometimes it would be substantial. It would be businesses, it would be land, houses, other businesses. Stupid stuff, Pokemon cards, cars, planes, boats. What else? Pokemon cards, cryptocurrency, anything that people can buy, they buy. There were these two guys who would go Harley shopping together, and they'd both get a Harley every couple of weekends together. So I thought that was kind of funny, but we had to recover the Harleys and sell those. They'd buy things for women. There's one guy who bought a series of women Mercedes and a condo, but that one we gave up on that one. It would have cost too much to. That's the thing is once it gets so many steps removed, the cost of suing for something like that so far exceeds the value that you get.
This was the FTC. FTC.
I did FTC too, but mostly SEC.
FCC.
FCC.
I think FCC is like regulating like the radio stations. I can't believe they're going after.
Oh, that's the.
Is it because they were on TV or like how does that work?
That's the FCC. We did like Securities and Exchange Commission.
Oh, SEC. Security. Yeah. Is that where you were? SEC?
Yeah, I wasn't working for them, but it was basically somebody would be appointed in their lawsuits, and we'd represent that person. But yeah, I did. The FTC is the Federal Trade Commission, and I did one case with them. They do a lot of like mortgage modification schemes.
Yeah.
That case was that was a sad case. That wasn't a fun case. That was there'd be people who would be underwater on their mortgage, and the scammers would come to them and say, "Give me money, and I'll fix it for you. I'll talk to your bank for you. Just appoint me to be the person that your bank talks to, and I'll make sure everything's fine."
Definitely. And I've seen that scam a lot. Yeah.
So they'd get between the bank. The bank couldn't even talk to the person if they wanted to the borrower if they wanted to, and they just take the monthly payments and
nothing.
Yeah, that was a rough one. But some of the Ponzi schemes are it's rich people scamming other rich people, and they just get into all kinds of wacky trouble.
Yeah, I love that you seize the shit. That's awesome. SEC, someone said. SEC, Mike Lamassu says. Clean the hair out of your ears.
Yes.
I'm here to turn up the volume. SEC, Security and Exchange Commission. I know because I used to be licensed by those,
Oh yeah.
I was a financial guy. I had FINRA. I think that's under SEC actually.
Yeah, FINRA. Yeah, I know them.
Yeah.
They have the filing. You can get a lot of stuff from the FINRA filings for.
Yeah, you'll find a filing on me somewhere on there, and I never got in trouble. Never got in trouble.
Yeah, I've gotten people in trouble for what they have in there.
Yeah, I never had anything filed against me. I did everything right in that industry. My issues were friggin' wrong company, wrong time, and then weed in a conflict. Like, what do you call it? A 1-year non-compete, and then just the fuckery of the industry. It was just, it's a long story.
Non-compete's ridiculous. I mean, in certain situations.
Yeah, it killed me. And it was 2008. I did the right thing. I left the company. It was AIG. I didn't know if they were going to get the bailout. They did get the bailout. I wish I had stayed. I would have been golden. But it's a long story. No woe was me.
Has anyone ever interviewed you on your whole financial background?
Does anyone what?
interviewed you on that whole story on the?
No, no, actually not.
Hmm.
I never told it.
Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, I kind of hint about stuff, you know. It's a weird story. It takes I've mentioned things about it.
yeah. Well, one of these days.
Yeah. I just like that I got the best thing about that for me personally, being a financial advisor, is
Mhm.
seeing people's accounts grow and how long it takes and realizing and knowing later, even after I left all that, after I helped people, that now I'm helping myself. It just the big thing is you just invest in the best companies if you can, whether it's mutual fund. I don't like mutual funds because I'd rather do it myself.
Yeah,
But and just hold them. You hold them for 10 years or more and you're golden. That's it.
that's the hard part, though. That's the
Yeah, it is. But the problem is sometimes even that can lose, but usually not. Usually you're up way big after
yeah,
10 years. 20 years, 30 years, you're golden.
yeah.
That's it. Just keep saving.
Everyone wants to buy high and sell low. Like, that's the
I
funny thing.
know.
That's
I
the
know.
human inclination. It seems so
And you
simple.
you and you can sometimes. Like the thing is like if a stock's gone up as high as it's gonna go, nothing wrong with selling it.
Yeah, but
That's what you're looking for. The problem is don't sell too quickly. You know what I mean? Don't sell just on a short gain. Like, like
yeah,
if it's just gone up 5, 6, 700%, you think that company's on its way out now, then sell it.
yeah,
But for the most part, and same thing with companies that go to hell. Sometimes like you realize this company is a Ponzi or this company
yeah,
lost market shares. Things changed. Their ownership fell out. Whatever it is, like you can sell when shit hits the fan, but mostly you should have, Microsoft, Apple, the usual names. You know who
yeah,
they are. Meta's the big one I'm buying today. Even today, I have so much Meta. I'm still buying it. I'm still buying it. It's worth it.
yeah.
You
Yeah,
know?
that's one of the funny things about Ponzi schemes is that you think of them as being these, shady guys that set out to do a Ponzi scheme, but very often, maybe the majority of the time, it starts off as something legitimate, and then things start to go downhill, and they borrow money to make the next payroll, and then 2 weeks later they do it again, and then once they start, they just can't stop.
Yep, that's what happened
And
with Madoff. Yeah, it's so easy to get into that type of. You can manage money too without even licenses. It's funny, it turns out.
yeah,
Not like
yeah,
the way I managed money back in the day when I was licensed. That's totally different when you have all those accounts and different. But you can actually privately manage big money, small. Uh, Another super chat came in. I think a couple actually. Let's just Mama She 13 said, I listened to you, New York stock tops, and my financial advisor was impressed with what I had done with my portfolio. I'm glad they were impressed, but I gotta say, you're probably not doing well if you bought when I did a stock show recently. I just
okay,
did some of those biggest, best names. I felt like the stuff I'm buying, just telling people what I'm buying, not recommending. I said the risks, and the stuff that was more risky, but it's mostly like those bigger names everyone's already been winning on.
yeah,
And the stock market's gone down since it went up. Like if you bought when I told you to, it went up and you were like feeling good, and then it came. Everything's down, man. Everything's down.
yeah.
But I still think you bought the right companies. If you bought Meta, you bought the right company.
Buy and
Um,
hold.
Buy and hold. Buy the best.
What's his name?
I look at my old Apple shares and even Meta. I'm way up on Meta.
Why can't I think of the name? Warren Buffett's partner. He was a lawyer. I can't think of his name.
Charlie Munger.
Munger. Yeah, that's a firm out here. Munger told us
Charlie
his office.
Charlie Munger.
Yeah, his office is. Well, it used to be right down the street, but a little bit further down the street. They're a really good firm. I have a friend that
Yeah.
works there.
Yeah.
Really bright. Never met him personally, but
Me neither.
he's a little bit older than I am. A little bit more further along.
Yeah, he's they're all getting up there.
Yep. Yeah.
I own a little Berkshire. A little bit.
Yeah.
That's up. because I've owned it for so long. Of course, it's up. Do you have any final thoughts too about Karen Reed? Like, I'm thinking like this upcoming trial. Like, what are you looking forward to seeing that maybe you didn't see in the first trial?
I'm curious to see whether they actually go all in on the third party culprit approach, because in general, actually I think this is what we were supposed to talk about the very first time I was on
Yes.
was just that the third party culprit. And anytime you do something like that, you take on the burden of proving something. Essentially, if you're going to say somebody else did it, then the jury's going to expect you to, if not, prove it beyond a reasonable doubt to really make a compelling case that it was that third party. So I think it's interesting to see it'll be interesting to see whether, to what extent they go into the third party versus just straight reasonable doubt approach. Because Proctor, for example, is a lot easier to approach, and Paul's the same way as reasonable doubt. You can just point out that Proctor's texting and he's not paying attention to what he's doing when he's on the clock, and it's this personal animus, rather than having to tie it into a bigger thing. You can just keep it simple. Trooper Paul can't conspire with. I'm not going to finish that thought. He's not a mastermind he's not a criminal mastermind. You can just make fun of the things that he says and the pirouettes and just the
What's physics?
lack of the physics that are unique to Massachusetts, and it's easier to do that, but maybe it's a little bit less compelling than Colin Albert did this, or this was the conspiracy. This is what happened. It's certainly more definitive if you can make a compelling case that it was a specific third party. But yeah, just the balance between those two approaches. In theory, they should be the same thing. They should be very closely related, but I think in practice and in approach, they're definitely different. And also Proctor and Paul, I just mentioned them, but how are they going to be called? Who is going to call them? That's got to be difficult for Brennan to decide. I know Lally tried to get out in front of Proctor in the first trial. He kind of had to. I don't think there was a way to avoid that. That's not the issue in Proctor, is whether his firing makes him a better witness rather than a worse witness. Before, I think it would be reasonable to think, why hasn't he been fired?
Like, why better witness? Why would you say it might make him better? Better for who?
Yeah.
Better for what?
Better for their prosecution, because before, he's still a cop, so it's the jury might think, why are they covering for this guy? Why isn't this guy gotten fired yet? Whereas now that he's been fired, they can say, yeah, he did all this. He did some things wrong, and we terminated him, but it was unacceptable, and we don't accept it, and yada yada yada. But these things that he did aren't affected by that, and it gives you a sort of a line of demarcation between the misconduct and the investigation. Whereas before, while he was still employed, I think the line was a lot more. Well, there is no line, but it's easier to draw that line now that he's been fired. I don't know if it'll play out that way, but that's just a thought.
Here's a question related to that. Asking, does Jim think the defense has new evidence against the Bryans and Colin related to that third party?
Let me see. Probably. I don't know. Have they shown anything new, really?
Not really. I mean, in terms of what I saw in the filing, it didn't seem.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm trying to think if I read anything that seemed new. I might have missed something, but
nothing. No bombshell anyway.
Yeah.
They probably have something. I'm sure they do. I don't know how. I don't think they're gonna have like a taped confession or anything.
Yeah. Exactly.
But yeah, I mean, that's the interesting thing, is how will this trial differ from the first, and how much testimony from the first will be used to impeach witnesses in the second? Will Brennan be able to change? How much can he change in the second as opposed to the first. Because if you just completely change everything, that's gonna be impeached. But you have to change something, so it's hopefully we don't get 3 hours of rereading somebody's testimony from the first trial. That's
You think there'll be a lot
not
of
fun.
that? I have a feeling there might be some of these
Yeah, it
witnesses.
definitely could be. I mean, that was a big part of the YSL trial. Is they'd call people to testify, and they wouldn't say the same thing that they had said previously, and then they'd play a 7-hour tape of an interview. I'm not even kidding. It was a 7-hour tape of a 10-year-old interview, and they just play the whole thing into evidence for the entire day. I don't think it'll be anything like that, but it can be a time-consuming exercise for sure.
Wow, that could add a lot of time to the trial. In terms of defense witnesses, they didn't call that many last time. They seem like they have many more defense expert witnesses this time. Do you think they should call all their witnesses, or do you think that they should go for an abbreviated defense witness list like they did the first time?
Yeah, I mean, I think they'll probably just add more experts. I know there's the expert. We just talked about him. It's not Wing. I have that stuck in my head. Easter.
Yeah,
Michael Easter.
Michael East.
I think that'll be interesting to see for sure. So it seems like they're going to have some more experts, but I don't really expect them to call dramatically more people to testify. And I mean, there's always an advantage just to having a bigger witness list to keep your options open. I don't necessarily think it means that they're committing to calling that many people. But yeah, I wish that would have been a good answer to the first question. Was Michael East and how effective he is as a witness. That'll be fun to see.
Yeah,
But,
I'm interested to see how he does and what kind of points he brings up because there's so many
I
investigation mishaps. Let's say
yeah
I don't know how we call them errors, omissions, not going into the house, not asking to go in the house. A lot of
yeah.
mistakes they made.
The thing that this was just not as a lawyer. This was just me watching the first trial. But I remember they were asking about the glasses inside the house. I think there was a question about whether the glasses inside the house would match the broken glass on the lawn. I don't even remember who the witness was. It was one of the investigators, and he said, "Oh no, we can't ask them for that because we don't have a warrant." And then 30 seconds, no, not 30 seconds later, 5 minutes later, he says, "We asked them for solo cups." It's like, so you can ask them for plastic cups, but you can't ask them for the glass. That's insane. I just realized how much I'm going to enjoy watching people react to the solo cup for the first time. That's going to be interesting. Oh man, I'm just talking myself into being more excited now. I think we'll have some news on that very soon, Dave.
Free
That's
monk, tunk.
that's
I just
my
got
client Mooktunk. It's my client's nickname. I don't know where it came from, but
Is he a rapper? What is he? Is he
no,
a studio guy? Like what's how did he get involved in this?
no, he's not even in music at all. Actually, he
Oh
was
wow.
friends with the older siblings of Young Thug, who's kind of the rapper. He's the
Okay.
head
So
guy.
he's part of the crew basically.
He
Or a
hasn't been
rapper.
for like a decade. He actually he does like a trucking business. Now he's boring. I mean, he's got kids. He started a trucking business or shipping business, and he has like a CDL and he has a truck and he has a little house in Atlanta. And up until 2015, he was like in security or sold merch, and he was part of the crew. But um, yeah, it's been some time since that was the case. But
Hopefully you get him out.
oh, I'm not. I'm confident.
Yep.
I've spent a lot of time on that, and I'm excited to. I promise to tell you all about it as soon as I can. But
Is there hearings coming up, you think, on that?
yeah, probably nothing's calendared yet, but I'd expect something soon. Yeah, yes. My favorite
One,
typo.
yes, one of our moderators, Jeno, wants to know what your favorite typo in Brennan's motions.
Hold on, let me pull up my list.
Jeno is she's a legal mind too. She's got legal background.
Let's Cooper Jasper Paul. That's always funny. Renian's always funny. What else do I have? Oh, I think I deleted all my favorite ones.
Is that many?
There's a lot. I don't even post the ones that aren't funny anymore. There's always one. What else was there? Pro Sector was funny. Breenan was funny. I like the ones that he repeats, that he doesn't. He doesn't. That's the thing with Breenan, is he cut and pasted. The first time he said Breenan, he didn't, like, fine, whatever, it happens. I mean, it's not fine, it shouldn't happen, but whatever. Then he cut and pastes the same one, or he just reuses the same document. It doesn't change it. So the second time it's even more wrong. So now it's the wrong. Is the name is spelled wrong in the entire caption is itself wrong.
Is he a boomer? Is he a boomer?
He's something.
I don't know.
I don't know what it like. They're just such sloppy mistakes. I mean,
I'm sorry, I'm losing all my boomers. I love boomers. I'm almost a boomer. I get called a boomer a lot. Come on, I love my boomers.
I thought he was older until I saw him. Like, when I actually watched the video of him, I thought, just by reputation, I thought he was a lot older than he is.
I think he might be younger than me, actually.
Yeah, he must have been pretty young when he was representing Bulger.
Yeah, a little kid. It's just a little kid.
Yeah, that's one of the funny things. There's one lawyer in the YSL trial who's not fresh out of law school, but relatively fresh out of law school, and seeing him with all these 50-something year olds, it's like, who is this child? Who let these two childs in a suit?
Let this kid in.
Two children in a suit. I said childs.
Yeah.
That's embarrassing.
I want to thank the petty the first time I think she came up, or one of the times, I call her the potty paralegal. It's the petty paralegal. Petty paralegal. She's been a member for 9 months. She says, thanks, Mike and Mods. I appreciate you. Thank you so much to the petty paralegal tonight. There's a question here. They want to know about Monk Trunk's attorney the first time, if he dropped the ball on the plea agreement by not reading it before signing it. What do you think?
Obviously, there were some shortcomings. I mean, the first thing is, I don't have any more information on what happened at that hearing than anybody else does. That was a couple of years before I came on. It could have been better. Probably should have been caught. There were some issues that made it. Again, I'm just discussing this stuff from the trial. This isn't based on anything secret. Some of that stuff was difficult to catch. And the thing is, the deal that he got on its face, the initial deal that he got was just straight probation. And the potential sentence would be up to like 35 years. So the lawyer is thinking, okay, well, we got probation. Everything's great. I'm happy. It's a win. And I suspect maybe he let his guard down a little bit and missed some of those terms that were in the plea agreement. But that's just my speculation. I don't know. I've never met the lawyer, so I can't really. I don't want to throw him under the bus too much. But it could have gone better.
I'm just reading. It's so funny. I'm reading the super chat and then I'm looking up what they're talking about.
Oh, yeah.
The latest super chat says Meatball Morrissey shitty states.
Read to the class the motion on Deb's page.
I brought it up. It's the Commonwealth's motion to compel all book reports and pinky promises from the defendant's permanent record while enrolled at Fall River first grade elementary from 1986 to 1987.
Oh, that's where Battleship Cove is, right? Where the
I don't think that's real. I think that was put. That's so funny.
You know what I found people on before, going way back, is people, like, they'll be the Ponzi schemers. They'll delete everything, but they'll forget about their Pinterest page. They'll delete their Facebook, their Twitter, their Instagram, and then they'll leave their Pinterest page.
That's how they catch them on the Pinterest.
Yeah, I'm not even kidding. They think they're in the clear, and then I get them on Pinterest. He's something.
Thank you, Mama. She 13 again. We get a bunch of super chats tonight. Thank you so much for the super chats. Not so many that I had to say stop sending super chats. You can keep sending them tonight.
Send more super chats.
Yes, and more.
I'm begging you.
I'm begging tonight. Begging. You don't send. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm not doing that. Tomorrow night, I might do it though for Karen Reed. We're doing a Karen Reed fundraiser tomorrow night with a bunch of guests.
Oh yeah, I heard you say something about that.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. So I might beg people to send money to Karen Reed so she can defend herself with all her expert witnesses.
Yeah. Oh, that's something I want to talk about that I haven't gotten a chance to yet. Was the ARCA bill, the $23,000 bill?
What do you think?
And I cannot express how small of an amount of money that is,
Right?
for expert testimony. That's like a deposition, just an 8-hour deposition. The federal limit is usually 8.5 hours with the lunch break. That's easily like well over $10,000. So $20,000 for testimony and traveling to and from and coordinating the CV and reports and stuff like that. It's such a small amount of money to those guys that this idea that it's some kind of grand conspiracy to steal $23,000 from, or to get over on $23,000 is just, it's ridiculous. Especially when they have FBI contracts and the kind of contracts where you need your reputation. Like risking that for $23,000 is insane. There's not a thing. It didn't happen. It's silly.
What about this other conspiracy that they seem to think that Karen Reed was controlling the U.S. attorney and the U.S. attorney's office, and that the U.S. attorney's in some type of grand scheme and being manipulated by Karen Reed and David Yannetti?
Yeah,
I mean, that's what they're. It's funny because, like, I was yelling at people that called in. Well, at least one person who wanted to talk, about Kevin from Yellow Cottage Tales because I'm just so tired of talking about him, and I stopped talking about him. But stuff that he's been saying, that's crazy. Hank
Yeah,
Brennan's now repeating it. Hank Brennan is now repeating Yellow Cottage Tales and Kate Peter. And what do you think about that?
I think it's insane. I don't think their whole world is Karen Reed, and so they think everybody else's is too. But to the U.S. attorneys, any U.S. attorney's office, it's not a big deal. It's not a big case. It is to us, and it's gotten a lot of attention, but it's a worst. Let's say that it's a first. Let's say she did it intentionally and she meant to do it. And it's a first-degree murder case. It's a first-degree murder case. They're doing federal conspiracies. They're doing much bigger cases. David Yannetti, I'm sure he's a great attorney and he knows people, but he doesn't have that kind of pull. Karen Reed doesn't have anywhere near that kind of pull that she's going to be able to corrupt a U.S. attorney's office. That's like, it's ridiculous. I mean, I can't express how silly it is. I mean, they have the FBI on their side. They have the federal government. They have they have the kind of resources that nobody else has. It's similar to the ARCA. I said they wouldn't corrupt themselves over $23,000. The U.S. attorney is not going to let himself be corrupted for this case, which is, it's a big deal in the media and publicly, but it's not. He's not going to make his career off of this case. It's not. It just doesn't make sense. That reminds me that whole crowd. I had a post about something in Georgia, and I said in the comments it was about a case in Georgia, and it was an excerpt from a document from a case in Georgia, and they were convinced. They were arguing with me that it was subliminally about Karen Reed.
Oh my God!
I couldn't convince them. They were convinced.
Yeah,
not everything.
That's what they do. That's what they do. It's so funny what they read into. It's almost always wrong. It's so funny. They project too. They project so much. It's
yeah. Like, yeah, there are a couple like that. They were just convinced I was talking about Karen Reed.
What do you think about putting a book out on the Karen Reed case on April 1st when the second trial starting?
Oh, I mean, obviously now that you mentioned it, I know they're the same day, but isn't it like 315 pages long or something?
300. I think it's 38. I think that's no. I think it's like 385 actually. or even more. It's so many pages. It's like, dude, you need an editor. It'd be less than 150 pages. You know what I mean? Like, come on.
Oh, I got an
And
idea. You gave me an idea. I'll do a video. I'll do a video where I edit the book.
we'll edit his book. You're gonna
I'll
buy
just,
it though? You're gonna actually buy that
it's
thing?
like $6.
I think he raised the price. He knows haters are gonna buy it, so he's gonna capitalize on it.
You know what? That's fine. I'm willing to give him his little win. You know, he's providing value to my life. He's providing
Yeah,
entertainment. He's giving me a service. It's not like a good service, but it's
giving you a server. Someone asked in the chat earlier, are you married?
no,
No.
not married. No. I am in a relationship right now, but
You have a girlfriend or a
yes,
boyfriend or
yes,
somebody. You
I
don't
have a
have to say
girlfriend.
girlfriend. Okay. I'm very politically correct now. I'm
Yeah.
trying to be inclusive.
Look. If people want to give me money, they can give me money. It's not a problem.
Yeah, I
I'm
think they
not
were
afraid of
talking
it.
about Kevin actually. He's the true grifter. Because
Okay.
Kevin calls everyone else a grifter, but he's actually the grifter. He's put a book out on April 1st. I think that's the funniest shit of all. Like, dude, I don't know if it's either genius or it's so Betero was calling it out. Like, how do you freaking put out the book and the trial is like in a month is gonna make it like irrelevant? It's like,
That's a
what?
good point.
Yeah.
Man, I
What kind of
posted a
shelf life does that book have? You better sell it in the first month, dude.
man, I posted a video on what was it? The Hank trying to get the text messages between Karen and Yannetti. I posted it yesterday morning, and 90 seconds into oral argument, the judge just shut it down, and my video is no longer relevant just immediately. And he's essentially doing the same thing, but it's actually his job. That's what he does.
That's
Oh
it.
man, I'm definitely gonna
That's
buy it.
I mean, that's even like lives. We do these live shows and people watch while we're live, but as soon as we're done, it's like maybe for a day they'll watch it, but like new news comes out, you know?
Yeah, I that's actually funny. When I started trying to do videos, I would try to get all of my research to the state that it would be in to write like a brief, and I that's just what my habit was. But it just takes too long, and by the time you do that, the world's moved on. And
Do the news of the day and move on. That's it.
yeah,
Yeah. Do it live. You can.
yeah,
That's my tip. That's my tip, especially this stuff.
yeah. I didn't realize
'Cause
how long it would take to cover topics, but it takes so much longer just to discuss something than I thought it would. It's a challenge. It's a new, definitely a new thing to learn, a new skill, but it's been fun.
Awesome. So tell us your what's your YouTube call? You got a YouTube, is it Happily Angry Esquire?
I'm
ESQ?
just gonna steadily look it up over here.
All right. We have it pinned in the chat, actually. People
Okay,
can
yeah, yeah.
in the YouTube chat, they can find it right there. You also have a Twitter, which
Yep.
is at Happily Angry ESQ. If I want to
Yeah,
follow you, I got it right here. It's
I think that's right.
yeah. So anything else you want to bring up tonight or mention or promote or even discuss about your cases or Karen Reed at all?
No, I'll probably do a video tonight or maybe tomorrow morning on there's a guilt. This is in the YSL case. There was a probation sentence, and one of the conditions was you shall not possess no guns, and that was the condition of probation. And then I can see my puppy back there. Um, he was caught with a gun, and I want to say this isn't going to work, but I want somebody to argue that because he was told you shall not possess no guns by a judge, that he's actually not guilty of the crime. I don't think it's going to work, but it's going to give me a chance to look at the plea agreement, which is kind of messy and sloppy, and I think it'll be hopefully entertaining and informative.
Excellent. So that'll be
Just
good. That'll be on your YouTube probably tomorrow.
yeah, I would expect so. It always takes me longer than I think.
Yes. Well, we'll say this week. How's that?
Oh wait, no, I'm flying tomorrow. I sometime next week.
Sometime next week. Definitely. Awesome. Trying to think if there's anything else that we didn't cover tonight on the Karen Reed too, because there's been so much stuff that's happened.
I was
I mean,
trying to.
were you surprised about the motion to dismiss that she didn't have a hearing?
No, it's so hard to win on those, um, even under the best of circumstances. I was actually looking at the law on that topic on a related case like this week or last week, and the standard's so high to get to win a motion to dismiss. And given that we just had him, officially a hung jury, it's going to be hard to say that the evidence is so clear and overwhelming. And courts at any level will just prefer not to do that because you can't lose on appeal if you just have a trial. So judges are always going to lean towards a trial rather than summary judgment or dismissal. I'm a little surprised she didn't have an evidentiary hearing, but I am surprised and I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised that she didn't have one, but you think to cover her bases, she'd at least have some kind of cursory evidentiary hearing. Let the defense call a couple witnesses or something. But certainly it's cleaner from her perspective to just deny the motion. But
Definitely.
I was,
Kevin, I was going to read this one. Kelly Freeland and a super chat for $20. Kelly says, as a neighbor without a connection to police, you see police in your area, you will look at your Ring video. Police don't ask for it, but maybe a neighbor saved the video and sent it to the feds. Just saying.
That's possible. I was looking at the Ring video thing recently, and with respect to John O'Keefe's phone on the 31st of January, it's the same day the extraction happened. I was trying to figure out whether Proctor looked at the Ring video on the phone before or after the extraction was done, but I couldn't find a definitive answer on the timeline. But it's interesting because after that extraction, there's no way to get a true and correct copy of the phone as it was at the time of his death. So that the Ring video, I don't think we'll ever have an answer, but it's interesting what happened to that footage.
Brennan's favorite typo is Karen's trial starts January of 2024.
That was a good one. That was a good one.
That is a good one, Sam. Yes. I've been caught doing that. I did that like once or twice in January on the videos.
I read this wasn't in this case, but I read one where instead of like sacred First Amendment right, they said scared First Amendment right. And it was within the context of somebody trying to shut them up, so it kind of worked. I really like that one.
Now, there was this new letter that Attorney Betterow wrote to the DA.
Yeah.
About what's
the wiretapping one?
Yeah, about the wiretapping. And he used the word grave concern, which Michael Morrissey, it turns out, had used that in the hostage video. But the judge had also used grave concerns recently in court. Remember that?
I remember it being a meme. I don't remember seeing it the first time.
You remember what?
I remember sort of the meme. I know the meme grave concern. I see it all the time. But I didn't know.
Do you think there's anything to that like Betterow brought up grave concerns? Because they both used it.
Yes.
Morrissey and the judge have used it in court, in court in his hostage video that we call the hostage video. They both use grave concern, and Betterow brought that up, sort of like subliminally. Subliminal, like in the letter to the DA. Do you think that has any significance at all?
Oh, it's absolutely on purpose. I do that all the time. Yeah. Yeah, if you can, ideally you'll just directly quote it, but sometimes if you want to jab at the opposing counsel, you'll use a phrase that they use that was dumb, and you'll just repeat it a couple times. And assuming you have a judge that's paying attention, they'll usually notice, and the opposing counsel will definitely notice. And it's fun. I like being petty like that. I did it today, actually. I was writing something.
Well, how? Which way? What did you write?
I can't really get into that, but it was.
You can't.
Guardrail. it was a specific phrase that got another lawyer yelled at by the judge, and it was a little bit misleading the way it was used. And I've been trying to find a way to work it in for a long time now. And today I finally had my moment. And yeah. Hey, thank you. You can call me Jim, by the way. That makes me feel old.
No, you're not old like I am.
Yeah.
I'm almost a boomer. Almost a boomer.
What is the cutoff for that? Like 60,
Boomer? I don't even know.
5 or something?
I'm Gen X. I'm firmly planted in the Gen X. Let me ask you a couple questions. Music. You're a younger person. What kind of do you like music? Is music even a thing for someone in the 30s, age 30 time frame? And what kind of music?
Yeah, I mean, lately I've been listening to more hip hop than anything. But I listened to, like, when I was a little bit younger, I listened to, like, the Strokes and that whole era.
Garage rock.
Yeah. But lately, it's funny. They played a bunch of like Atlanta rap during the trial, and I kind of got stuck in my head. So I've been listening to that lately. It's funny to watch a bunch of people try to look serious while listening to just a hip hop song that's just bass is absolutely blasting and just stay perfectly still. It's really funny. But I've been listening to a lot of that lately. But I haven't been listening to music as much lately as I did when I was younger. You're right about that. It's more, certainly there are more podcasts, and when those came along, it seems like people listen to a little bit less music. But I've been lately. I've just been listening to trial testimony from one of two cases, either the YSL case or this case. I've just been doing a lot of that. It's
Sounds familiar.
so much.
I get so focused on one thing, which is the Karen Reed trial.
Yeah. If it weren't for the YSL trial, I'd definitely be. I mean, I've been spending a lot of time on it, but I would be spending even more.
Definitely.
If it weren't for work. There's so much there. There's so much to dive into. There's so much unknown. It's.
I want to thank you for being here tonight. We're looking forward to so much with the Karen Reed because April 1st is the retrial. We're also expecting a Kenton police audit to come in
on
like April 4th, when there's a select board election in Kenton on April 8th. So there's a lot to look forward to coming up locally. What type of have you seen any police audits in your experience? I'm just wondering if you have any experience with those, since you're an attorney and you've been around some things. I'm just wondering, have you ever seen any? I'm wondering what's going to happen with that too.
Who's doing? To answer your question, no, I don't think so. I've seen other lawyers get tied up in Ponzi schemes and seen those investigations. So there might be some overlap there. But no, I've never seen a police investigate or audit. Who's doing the audit? Is it like somebody independent, actually independent, or is it?
I believe so. It's a consulting company with former police officers, a lot of them from the feds and state and local.
Okay.
And they do have ties to Massachusetts, but I believe they're like DC based. They're like a big, police consulting type company. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I mean, that's the big. It's so funny. You're right on the mark asking who it was, because I mean, all the locals, that's what they're worried about. Like, are they going to be legit? Are they actually going to do a good job on it?
Yeah. I mean, some of those feds take investigating police very seriously. It's like some of the FBI, that's what they do. I mean, they investigate local police. And that's another reason why the U.S. Attorney's Office getting corrupted by one murder defendant and her lawyers is laughable, because that's their purview, and keeping an eye on those people. It's silly. But yeah, that's interesting. Do you think there's any chance it gets delayed until after the
I don't think so, because they have announced like a public meeting for it. So I think it's coming up. I think it's going to be we'll see though. I mean, it could be a limited rollout until after that election too, or after the trial. Question: what DC bar did Jim work in? DC.
I worked at a few. I did Bedrock Billiards and like Adams Morgan, Penn Social in like Chinatown or Penn Quarter. What else? There's Buffalo Billiards back when it was still there. There's one in Philadelphia, but the one in DC isn't there anymore. I worked at let me see. I worked at a place in Petworth that's not there anymore. But by oh god, I can't remember the name of those places. But yeah, it was a little hole in the wall. That was my favorite. But a few different places. I filled in here and there too. It's a pretty small community. Just put on a black T-shirt and you can walk in behind any bar and nobody will think twice.
Definitely.
But DC's great. It's a lot like LA, and the people associate LA with Hollywood, but that's really a relatively small portion of it. In DC, with the government, there's a whole other city there that's not related to the government or politics. And it's a cool city.
Yeah, it's there's a lot more to DC than just the federal government.
Yeah.
I want to thank you for being here tonight, Jim.
Yeah, of course. It was fun.
Yeah. We finally did it. It took us 4 times, really, because we moved it again.
Yeah. Yeah, it's opportunity to go on these shows. There's just so much stuff to know, and it's it was fun though. It was okay not to know stuff.
You didn't get any real tough like Auntie Deb questions.
Those put you on the spot for sure. But
yeah, we did ask a couple personal questions.
Yeah, that's okay. I'm happy to share.
Yeah, and we get some people who do love LA. You're in LA right now. The weather nice?
It's actually not. It's cloudy today. I mean, the thing is, I say it's cold, but back home in Maine, it's like negative 65 degrees. And
yeah, today actually it was 60, and that's Mass, obviously, but it was like 60 today. The high.
Yeah, that's nice.
Not bad. Yeah, not bad. Finally.
It's almost baseball season.
Yeah.
Just about.
It's been cold too, though. It's been cold and rainy. I want to thank you for being here. I thank you so much, Jim, and I definitely want to have you back too. Maybe we're doing a bunch of panelist shows coming up with different attorneys. Definitely love to have you back on the show. I want to thank you for coming on tonight and rescheduling and sticking with it through all the VS that we went through here.
Yeah, sorry about last time, though.
Oh, don't worry. You had a dog issue, right?
I did. He seems to be doing just fine though. But yeah.
We're glad your doggy's doing good, and thank you so much for being here.
Yeah,
and we'll be following you definitely on YouTube and Twitter. People can follow you. It's pinned at the top of the chat. Thank you so much, Attorney Jim Robichaud. Is that it right?
Yeah, that's right.
Jim Robichaud. Thank you so much. We'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, okay. Thanks.
We're the Young Jurks. My name is Mike Crawford. I want to thank all the super chats tonight. Thank you, Elf. Thank you, Kelly. Thank you, Holly. There's a bunch of shows going on tonight, too. Yeah, Holly a few times. And KK, we're going to redirect you tonight, I believe. I set it up right. I think I'm going to redirect to Nurse Kim. She's interviewing Melanie Little. I think that's at 8 p.m., so we're a little bit early, I think, if I got my timing right. But I'm also going to pin in the chat, or put in the chat, Brian from LTL, because he's got a huge show right now. He's got Attorney Betterow on with Todd McGee. So you got two choices. There's like so many big shows going on tonight. You got multiple choices. So what I'm saying is, like, let's do a raid. You pick your choice. You go either to Brian from LTL, or you go check out Nurse Kim with Melanie Little tonight. And either way, it's a raid. We're doing a Young Jurks raid. And tomorrow night, we got a big show. We got Boozy Beauty. We got so many. Check it out tomorrow night. LTL is going to be here. We got who else do we have on that show? There's so many. Go check it out. I'm telling you, tomorrow night, big show. Going to be raising money for Karen Reed. There could be some surprises. Who knows? You know how we do it. Tomorrow night, 6 p.m. Maz is doing good. Maz is doing great. Make sure you come back here tomorrow night. Just Britt Britt Happen's going to be here. Trying to think of the other people. Losing my mind. Just be here tomorrow night, 6 p.m., please. We'll see you there. Thank you so much, everybody, for the super chats. Thank you to our moderators. Thank you to the guests tonight. Attorney Jim Robichaud. Check him out. And I'm going to pin it right now for Brian for LTL before we go, so you don't miss it. You want to go watch Brian with Attorney Mark Betterow right now? I'm going to pin it in the chat, so you got it right there. It's pinned in the chat. Or you can go watch Attorney Betterow on Brian from LTL. Let him know it's a Young Jurks raid. Or I'm going to automatically send you to Nurse Kim and Melanie Little coming up as well. 2 great shows tonight. You got watch them both. I'm going to be watching them both. I'll see you in the chat. And again, see you tomorrow night, 6 p.m. Make sure you're here. Big Karen Reed fundraiser. A lot of YouTubers, a lot of creators going to be here. It's going to be fun tomorrow night. We got Brian from LV Cops coming in, LV Cops TV. We got Boozy Beauty. We got Deanna Corby. We're going to be talking about the free Karen Reed standouts, the national standout that's coming up. We got a lot happening tomorrow night on the show, 6 p.m. Be here. It's going to be fun. I'll see you then.